It's time for Facts Are Your Friends. There we go. All right, today we are talking murder podcast. Kelly's favorite. Our true crime, murder podcast, all these shows. Is it psychologically healthy? That's what we're talking about today. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to make everybody mad. So as the great T Swift says, shake it off already. So here we go. We have a culture that is obsessed with true crime, particularly women. Obsessed with true crime. Kelly is smiling as though I'm speaking directly into her soul. Correct?
I feel very seen right now. Let's just go with that.
Now, we've always had true crime stories told orally about gods and monsters and quote-unquote others, right? True crime stories and storytelling in general has been wired into us. We are storytelling and story-making beings. It's how humans communicate, have always communicated. We tell stories. Story is how we make sense of the world, and it's how we participate in the world. It's how we experience things without actually sleeping with a neighbor, without actually dying, without actually being in a car wreck, without actually whatever, is through story. Somebody tells us a story. This thing happened. We watch a movie. We get to see it happen, but we don't have to actually experience the full weight of that tragedy or that, but we get to kind of participate when he hits the winning home run or when Rocky comes back in Rocky IV and wins or whatever. We get to be a bystander. This is how we are wired. And then modern media hits the scene and we are captivated by serial killers, murder, Freddy Krueger, Alfred Hitchcock, all the stuff, right? And it taps into a very natural, a very wired into us survival instinct, which is to always be looking for threats, to identify threats, to see them, to be able to predict ahead of time what they might do, what you might do. This is what makes humans humans. This is the frontal lobe, right? This is being able to say, okay, if X happens and Y happens, then I'm going to do Z, right? So it kept us alive because we couldn't fight bears, but we could anticipate bears. We could strategize about bears. And then in recent years, with the proliferation of true crime shows, Alfred Hitchcock, Twilight Zone, War of the Worlds, and then Ted Bundy, and then NYPD Blue, CSI, NCIS, Silence of the Lambs, Cops, Law and Order. The line between true crime, fiction, the unknown, the dark forces, and your neighbor who looks nice but might actually be luring old people over to eat them and skin them alive and use their skin as a dress, it all is getting blurred together. And fantasy and fiction and reality and your neighbors and your coworkers, it's all turning into the same river, right? All these different creeks and tributaries are dumping into the same river. And then podcast hits the scene. And the internet opens up a never-before trove of interviews, insights, police files, interviews with detectives. My dad got flown. My dad's a homicide detective for years and was a SWAT hostage negotiator. Nancy Grace flew my old man to New York and to do a cold case. And when Nancy Grace's producers called my dad, like, hey, do you remember this crime? And he goes, yeah, that one still haunts me. They flew him to New York. And he was on the show, right? It was awesome. True crime has become braided together with celebrity culture and our ability to participate in a ringside seat to what happened. So think about when Ted Bundy was on the scene. There would be a news article at 6, and then again at 9, and then a newspaper. Well, now suddenly there's troves of Ted Bundy movies, Ted Bundy interviews, Ted Bundy poetry. We can read it all. We can look at his pictures. We can read all the transcripts of the conversations he had with police officers. We got it all, right? And it's the ultimate rubbernecking. And it's messing with us in ways we have not fully metabolized yet. So make no mistake. I will go to the mat with any neuroscientist on the planet, any social scientist on the planet. The media you consume affects you. It affects the way you see the world, the way you experience the world, and the way your body reacts to the world. There's a great book by Dawn Cecil. It's called Fear, Justice, and Modern True Crime. And Dawn writes, by connecting facts from the real world with a fictional style narrative format, true crime stories naturally blur the line between news and entertainment. The melding of facts and entertainment is commonly referred to as infotainment. If you're a true crime junkie or a murder podcast junkie, like, I don't know, Kelly and Jenna and their friends, you are being entertained by the death, murder, investigation of something that really happened, packaged in an entertaining way. That's crazy. And I think, Kelly, tell me if I'm wrong. I think the first podcast, it was Serial. Was that the first one that kind of set all this off?
Yeah, probably so. That was the big one that kind of kicked off the podcast.
So I met
world.
Sarah Koenig, and like going down, like that felt, and I haven't kept up with it in all the other seasons, but I remember her. She came and met with my law students and did a great presentation. But it sounded very altruistic. Like she got had a question and kept asking. Very journalistic endeavor into this thing.
I think so, yeah. Now, there was other podcasts, I believe, before that were kind of one-offs, but hers was the first one where you're telling a story in a 10-week arc or whatever. But, yeah, hers started off with the story that she had heard about this guy, and it was like, I don't think he's guilty. And then it just goes from there.
But it's the music swells, and then the wait till next week. It like uses the best parts of Alfred Hitchcock and the best parts of like Friends, and then a real murder, and it braids it all together. And we're like, and what happened? And then there's that little bit of, could this happen in my town? Right? In my neighborhood? Maybe? Allegedly? Right? That's my favorite, allegedly. And then I remember being so bummed out by S-Town. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, that was one county over from where my husband's from.
So that explains so much.
Yes, it does.
About where you went manhunting. But listen, here's what was so frustrating about that. I waited through that entire podcast, and I got to the end, and they explained it. And it could have been a 60-minute. This guy was doing this particular thing. I think it was smelting or whatever he was doing, and it affected his brain chemistry.
Right, and he was mad. He was
brilliant.
Crazy. Yeah.
But that's not how they told it. They kept me hooked for...
Oh, I'd say one with that one. I kept waiting for like there was going to be this big thing, and yeah, there really wasn't.
Oh, man. Okay, so why do we consume this madness? Why do we do this? Some experts say we consume these shows as a way of quote-unquote learning or mentally rehearsing what we would do. So it's about preparation. It's a dress rehearsal. So we watch Silence of the Lambs, or we watch even, and I know this isn't true crime, but for a lot of adolescent males, it kind of is. Like the John Wick movies. Okay, so this is what I would do. I'm going to bury all these rad weapons under my concrete floor and then chip it out with a sledgehammer and then ride a horse with a sword down the subway. It all gets mushed together here. Or like if Hannibal Lecter comes to my house. Okay, I'm going to, number one, you're not going to do anything. But, so it's about preparation. It's a dress rehearsal. Number two, we consume these shows, as I said earlier, as a way of participating, pretending to get inside the head of a murderer or a detective or a victim's family without getting blood on our hands. It's the ultimate voyeuristic activity when it's consumed in a podcast. It can be super powerful because, get this, your brain creates the art, the actual pictures in your mind from the words of the show. The cognitive work that goes into the imagination can be very, very powerful because your brain draws from what it already knows. And so when it says things like, and the neighbor had a shifty look about him, your brain will go looking for your neighbors. It's different than a movie, because in a movie, you see Robert Englund playing Freddy Krueger, and it's like, oh, I got a picture of Freddy Krueger. Not so with a podcast. With a podcast, your brain has to carry the cognitive load of the story. It inserts people from your past. Remember that coach? Yeah, that coach was a little bit sketchy. He might eat children. And it begins to craft this narrative around people you know. And I'm looking at Kelly, and she's like, oh, I feel exposed.
A little bit on that one, but not totally, because You do? I don't see people like in my world where I start thinking about that. Now,
but you don't think about it, but does your body? And I realized I said that in kind of the creepiest way possible.
Thanks, John Mayer.
But does your body? I said that's so gross.
I don't know. Now, Jenna says that she does the like how I would handle myself in this situation, and I don't do that. But she says she does.
Yeah, I think I more so started listening to them when I moved to Nashville from my home, because I was like, okay, I am a 18-year-old woman moving to a new city, and one, I'm intrigued by like the cycle, like why do they do that? Like what makes them want to do that? But also, okay, what can I learn from these stories of like, okay, here's what not to do as a young woman living on her own in a new city.
So you listen to these as like research.
Kind of. I mean, like I know I'm never going to wear
so
my hair
terrible.
in a ponytail when I go to the grocery store because they'll grab me from the back. You'll never catch me doing that.
Oh,
yeah, things
boy.
like that.
Incredible. All right. So this is the reason why in education, why we ask kids to figure things out, because it develops new cognitive maps instead of just presenting it to them in a picture or a form. All right. So number 3, some experts put out there that people listen to murder podcasts obsessively because they need to see good triumph over evil. With all the mayhem and madness out in the world, it lets us believe a little bit of good overcomes. Except, I'll say this, every podcast I've ever listened to, good never wins. It never ends well.
Yeah, I don't see,
I don't buy that argument, but maybe
I don't either.
others do.
No, I don't, because I know that even when I listen to different podcasts, I have to take a break from them. I have to detox because your brain gets kind of too into that, and there's all of a sudden you can't find good. Because even if, yes, they catch the person,
there's still somebody murdered.
There's still probably multiple people, and there's still this, what is wrong with our brains? What's wrong with people? So no, I don't buy that as an argument.
All right, so here's what we need to sit on. Cecil says that consumers of true crime are being exposed to a distorted picture of criminal behavior and justice. So in a true crime, I've walked into homes where there are, unfortunately, people who have passed away, who have died violent deaths. There is no music swelling. There's no like loud piano and symphony that comes. There's no ticking clocks or dramatic pauses. It's this weight in the silence that I can't explain unless you've been in there. I've been in active shooter exercises. I've been in a building with an active shooter on the campus. It is not like it is on a TV show. It's very, very different. There's a level of haunting that is unique, and it is weighty in a way that I can only explain if you've been there. It's why police officers often hang out with other police officers, because there's a shared weight that they just carry because they know what goes on in the homes in their neighborhood in the middle of the night that regular neighbors don't know. And so when you consume podcast as infotainment, when you consume murder and investigations and police work and bad guys and good guys as infotainment, it distorts reality in a pretty profound way. It also decreases confidence in the criminal justice system as a whole. When all you consume is a 10-part series, and you go to the next 10-part series, and you go to the next 10-part series, and you look over the course of a year, and you've consumed 10-part series. You've consumed 10 trials that may have happened over the last 50 years, totally botched, totally screwed up, somebody like a police officer with a vengeance, a bad cop, whatever. It's really easy to let those things shift your bell curve, and suddenly you lose faith in everything. The bad guy always gets away. There's murderers around every corner, eating kids and murdering dogs or whatever. You say something?
I don't know anybody that's eating kids.
I know. I'm trying to be dramatic for effect.
Another thing, I have a cousin who is a prosecutor, has been for years, and she's talked about how the rise of true crime has made their jobs harder because people expect that we always called it the magic printer when we used to watch CSI.
Yeah, where's the mass spectrometer?
And and they think they know all these things now, and that's not real life. So juries think that they're more educated, and they're not, and it's making their prosecutors' jobs harder because they don't have the evidence that you see on TV and in movies and those kind of things. Most of it because it's not real.
That technology doesn't exist.
They think you just put it in the computer and out, the
and
answer
goes,
pops. And so it has definitely affected that because people think they know more.
Yes.
And they know just enough to be stupid.
And they know enough Hollywood to then look over at the police officers and say, y'all must be incompetent idiots. Or the prosecuting attorneys.
You should have done this. What about this? Yeah.
Right. So I am wholly, with all of my guts, not compelled by the literature that suggests there is no correlation between violent media and increases in all-cause violence. I also am going to expand violence. So if you tell me kids can play active shooter video games for 20 years and there's no increase in gun violence, cool. I don't believe that all-cause violence, meaning a body that is always heightened, a body that is anxious, a body that is depressed, a body that is a little bit sharper, a little bit louder, a little bit more antisocial, a little bit more isolated. I don't buy that, not even for a second. I'm wholly unconvinced by data that suggests there is no psychological toll or cost to mainlining this type of entertainment. I just don't buy it. It might not make more violent kids, but it might make them, as I said, more anxious, more depressed, more ADHD, more prone to isolating behavior, practicing of suicidal behavior. These correlative studies saying there are no problems are, in my opinion, they are highly misleading. I just don't buy them. Consuming and participating in violence is going to have an effect on the way you experience the world. Period. And listen, we know from other academic disciplines, the importance and strength of behavioral models. A picture of new behavior alters our behavior. It gives our brains a new map to follow. It's why initiatives to increase diversity representation in media is so important. It changes our feelings and emotions and thoughts. It gives us a new model. Oh, somebody who looks like that could be an attorney. I've never seen that before. That's why those initiatives are so important. But those same media companies then come out and say, hey, all the violence that we put out here, that doesn't impact behavior at all. And these media companies talk out of both sides of their mouth. We need to provide new pictures so that we can give new people avenues for empathy, for behavior change. And that doesn't alter anything. It's not intellectually honest. And we know that when we watch the news over and over and over again, it makes us more anxious, more depressed, more angry, more rageful. Why in the world would we think it doesn't apply to us? So here's my 3 insights, and Kelly, you'll get the final rebuttal. Here we go. There's a shifting of the bell curve that happens. Most people don't personally know someone who's been kidnapped, beheaded, and murdered, or whatever happens in these podcasts. Now we have murder podcasts and horror movies, and we know so much more. I'm personally convinced after years of hanging out with police officers, veterans, and first responders that it shifts our bell curve into things that never happened, wouldn't even enter our mind, to things that happen all the time everywhere. And the data just doesn't bear that out. It makes our bodies more alert more of the time. Podcasts, this is number 2, podcasts are a new technology that affects us more than we know. We are overinformed and underexperienced. We have seen 1 million sex acts on TV. That's probably a little bit, that's probably a lot, but we've seen a lot. Yet the data tells me that fewer and fewer people are having intimacy in real life. We see so many violent acts on TV. Yet we have more and more parents who don't let their kids go to their grandparents' funerals because they don't want to bother them. They don't want to scare them. And so we've got kids who have seen countless murders and deaths on TV, but they've never been in a room and felt the weight of somebody in a casket over there and the grieving that's going on collectively. They've seen a lot of sexual activity on TV, and they've never wasted an entire movie reaching over trying to hold somebody's hand. So there's a disconnect between what I'm seeing and what my body's experiencing. And when it comes to podcasts, here's why this is so different for all of us. Historically speaking, to be in a room with Joe Rogan and listen to Joe talk to his 3 best friends about really deep and meandering topics. For all of human history, to be privy to that conversation, you had to be in that room. So we have bodies that have evolved over time to gather information in a multitude of ways: sound, smell, sight, touch, eye crinkles, head movement, shoulders up, shoulders down. All that stuff is data for us when we're having interactions and conversations. And now I can just put in my headphones and head on down the street or get on my mower and mow my yard or whatever. And I'm getting all of that insight into my mind, but I'm not there. That is changing the way our bodies interacts with the information that we get. It's all new. Is it necessarily bad? No, I'm not going to say that at all. That's one of the things we try to do on this show. We try to let you pull up a seat to a table with me and somebody who's struggling. That's the purpose of the show. But it's affecting us. It's affecting how our bodies express empathy. It's affecting how our bodies experience fear. It's affecting us in ways that we don't know yet. 3, and this is something that my dad told me. I'll never forget this. I was all into horror movies as a kid, up until my late 20s. I saw every movie that came out. I love scary movies. I liked interesting scary movies. I liked the way the cinematography, the way it scared people. I liked bad guys in those movies. I watched everything. And I'll never forget, my dad walked through one day, my dad, the homicide detective, and I was watching some horror movie on TV, and he just quietly said something, which was not like him. He quietly said, "I just can't ever imagine thinking this is entertainment." And he just walked on. And I remember being like, "Ooh, Dad, dropping the truth bombs on your little..." And then I started going into these homes myself. And so I'll just say this: the death and torture and murder of someone, the complete destruction of a family, I can't wrap my head around consuming that for entertainment. And that's just me. And so I know those stories exist. I know that there are people working through them. And from the journalistic endeavor, like what, Koenig did, Sarah did with Serial, there are journalistic stories that need to be told about injustice, about things that are going unseen, things happening in marginalized communities. All that's important. I don't know. It's tough for me to consume it as entertainment. I'll pass it on to Kelly for the final word. It'd be so funny if you were just like, "Go to hell, John."
No, all I'm going to say is, for those that can't see right now, those that are listening on podcast, John is wearing a shirt that says "The Killers." That's all I have.
All right, let's go out to Detroit Rock City, home of 8 Mile, and talk to Paul. What's up, Paul?
Hey, how's it going?
Rocking on, man. What are you up to?
Not a whole lot. I just want to say thank you for taking my call and letting me be on the show with you.
You got it, man. Thanks for trusting me and giving me a buzz. What's up?
So my question is I've been married for 20 years, but it feels like for the last 10 years I've been living under a rock, and I've been oblivious to things that have been going on in my house with my wife, my relationship with my kids. But at the same time, it also feels like no matter what I do, I have goalposts that are moving. So I'll try my best. I'll do things to make everyone happy, but then there was something else that I missed or something else that I didn't do, and that's causing a lot of communication issues and conflicts in my household. And I'm trying to be the best person I can be. However, I keep failing short over and over and over.
Against whose standard?
Against my wife's standard.
Okay. When you
I want to be the better person, so that way I can support her in that role.
I got that,
and
but
I also feel like
it's important to put truth on the table, though, okay?
Okay.
Like I'm not gonna. I don't doubt your sincerity for a second, and I think you're a good man. Okay, I'm gonna start there.
Okay.
And sometimes it's hard to say the truth about our partners, like, "Hey, this is actually happening," or "This person is really hard to be with," or "This person keeps moving the goalpost on me every time I think I've understood the rules of the game. The rules change. I thought we were playing basketball, now we're playing football." And so it's important to do both. When you say you've been living under a rock, what does that mean? That you were oblivious for a decade of what was going on in your house? What does that mean?
Yeah, so it means like I thought everything was peachy fine. We had a good relationship. I had a good relationship with my kids, and then it turns out we had a miscommunication. And my wife is like, "Listen, our youngest one is 17. He graduates this year. After this year, I don't have to stay married to you no more. I can go out on my own. We don't have any kids holding us together. We have nothing. It's just a matter of if I want to be with you or not. And that is scaring me, especially when I know I keep coming up short.
Whoa, dude. Whoa.
Yep.
Do I have permission to just speak honestly and openly?
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Because I'm going to say some things that are going to make you mad, and they should, but I feel like I need to say them. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
I don't know that you've been living under a rock as much as your wife has been lying to you for 10 years.
Okay.
I don't know that you're failing. I can't, if you tell me we're playing basketball and I show up with my short shorts and my tall socks and a basketball and I start dribbling and putting it in the net and somebody comes with a football helmet and hits me, I'm not failing at the game of football. We're playing basketball.
Okay.
I don't think you're failing at some standard. It sounds like your wife doesn't want to be married to you. And she's writing out her clock. And there's nothing you can do if you're with a partner that doesn't want to be with you anymore.
Okay.
Is that fair? Tell me I'm wrong.
Nope. I get that. That's fair.
Who in the world would look at their spouse and say, now that the kids are gone, now it's up to me? What? As opposed to, hey, we got 1 year left with knucklehead number 3. And after this, you and I get to recreate this whole thing. We get to imagine a life we haven't had for 20 years, 22 years, however long old your oldest kid is.
Yep.
And we get to do whatever we want, whenever we want, minus college tuition payments.
Right.
And your wife chose that moment to weaponize that moment of vulnerability.
Yeah, I didn't look at it that way. I always figured.
Yeah, you're so beat down for so long that every time there's a problem, you immediately say, I'm so sorry. What did I do? I'll fix it. I'll make it right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I try to do. And the fact is she didn't want me to fix it. She wanted me just to listen and hear her. And I haven't done that. I've always went to fix it mode.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
So I know I've made plenty of mistakes on the communication side where I didn't hear or I didn't listen.
And she did too. She didn't tell you. My wife gave me the gift about 7 years ago. Stop trying to fix my problems. I'm smarter than you. I just want you to listen to me. Will you be?
My wife has said that stuff, and I didn't listen to her.
Okay,
So
well, then you're a knucklehead.
A lot of my problems. Yep.
There you go. Then you're a knucklehead. But
absolutely.
So here we are.
Is it too late for me? Because I've been trying my hardest off. I've sought a counselor. I've been listening to your podcast. I've found several other podcasts.
None of what I have to say, what other podcasts have to say, or what your therapist has to say matters.
Okay.
The only thing that matters is, can you sit across from your wife and say, are you interested in building the back half of our life together into something incredible? Or do you want to leave? And if you tell her, I'm all in, and she says, I don't, I'm done. I've been dreaming of this moment for 6 years. I just went into a quiet phase. I just locked myself in ice for 6 years to ride out the clock.
Okay.
But all these other voices, unless your wife has given you a very clear list, here's what I need. If you want to stay married to me, here's what I need. And by the way, you get to say what you need too.
All right, understood.
When's the last time you did that?
I had a conversation with her about 2 weeks ago. It's like, okay, what do you need? And then she laid it out. She listened. I need to spend more quality one-on-one time with the kids, more time with her, and we started doing some of those tasks.
How's that going?
I think so far they're going good. I travel a lot for work. Just last night we spent a bunch of time over on a video phone going over some, these cards that we got, and we had good conversations. So I think it's starting
Awesome.
I'm just not sure.
Could it be that you are unsure of your worth outside of your utility? I asked that in kind of a nerdy, highbrow way. I'm sorry.
Yep. Nope. Yes, that could definitely be because, this is my whole world here. So
How old are you?
I am 42.
Okay. One of the most common.
42, been married for 20 years. So
One of the most common questions or conversations I have with 40-year-old men and 50-year-old men behind closed doors is, if I'm not my answers, what am I? And the hardest thing to reconcile is you wired into your nervous system is men are only as valuable as the crap they can do, period. And I reject that wholeheartedly because it's killing a generation of men. Is there a set of skills that a man needs to learn? 1,000%. No question about it. And does a man have more value than just the tasks he can check off a list? Yes. And it sounds like what your wife is trying to tell you is, in all of your performing and all of your trying to get it right, it's like an actor looking for a script, and she's like, I don't want you to be Shakespeare. I just want you.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I think when you say, what do you need? I think it'd be fair to come back and say, hey, I've been thinking the best way I can show up for you all and give you full presence. Exhale real big is to know I've got value too. And so I'm going to trust you that if you want my advice, if you want me to give you like an answer or to look up directions or something like that, or look up the mortgage rates or the tax code, if you want that you'll be very clear and ask me for it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to release myself from that responsibility because you're brilliant and you're my wife. And I trust you to ask for it. And I'm going to practice just showing up to listen because we're friends.
Okay. I guess that's where I've been failing in the past.
Stop. Dude. If I showed up to a job to fix a house and I open my tool bag and all I have is a hammer and all they have to hang the drywall with is screws. And so I do this job with hammering screws through drywall. It will be loose and not straight. Would I say I did a great job? No. Can I say I did the best job with the tool I had? Yes. Did I fail? No. In fact, I may have accomplished something pretty significant. I hung drywall with a hammer.
Okay.
That's pretty dang impressive. I'm not a failure. What I do need, though, is new tools and new training. And I'm probably going to have to redo that garage. But I did a pretty impressive job with a hammer. You, my friend, have to stop referring to yourself as a failure every time you don't get something right.
I guess that's extremely hard to do because I've been saying that for so long now.
I know.
Or I've been feeling that for so long now.
And you can't possibly expect somebody else to love you and to fully plug into you if you hate you. There's nothing for them to plug into.
Okay.
You're an outlet that with no electricity. You have to love yourself enough to go to the gym. I love myself so much that I'm going to be a good steward of this 42-year-old body. I love myself enough that I'm going to get a full night's sleep so I can show up for my kids one-on-one plugged in. I'm going to close my stupid laptop when I'm at home, turn my dumb phone off when I'm at home. And if I don't have a boss that doesn't believe in home time, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to make it over the next 365 days. I'm going to begin to turn the ship and do something new because my family's not worth losing all that.
Exactly. 100%. I agree with that. Yes.
But what we're doing here is we're not a failure, dude. You have just been building a house with only a hammer. It's pretty impressive. I don't know how you managed to saw all that wood with a hammer. You figured it out. It looks terrible, but you did it. Right?
Okay. Yes. Yep.
Make it a commitment
guess,
today. Make it a commitment today. Tell your kids. This will be a fun way to connect with your kids. How old are your kids?
I have two 23-year-olds, a 20-year-old, and a 17-year-old.
Awesome. How much do you make a year? What's your annual take home?
Over $100,000 a year.
Great. This is going to be a fun game. I want you to tell all of your kids in a phone message, hey guys, I'm realizing that I talk to myself worse than I would ever let anybody talk to somebody else. And because I have thought so little of myself for so long, it's rubbed off on all you guys. And I'm sorry for that. From this day forward, to my 22 and 23-year-old kids, my older kids, I'm going to send you a check for $100 every time you catch me saying, I was dumb, or I'm stupid, or I failed that. I screwed up. And to your younger kids, I'm going to send you a check. I'm going to give you cash, $50. And come up with something special between you and your wife. And they will smile, and they get to catch them. They get to be a part of their dad reimagining his relationship with himself. And it's going to cost you a couple $100 and you're going to quit real quick.
Okay. So it's $100 for my older kids for any time I say I was a failure, and $50 to my youngest.
Just anytime somebody says something crappy about their dad.
Okay.
That happens to be their dad. Right? And sit down with your wife and say, I realize I've thought so little of myself for so long, I didn't think I was worth you loving me. And I thought so little of myself for so long, I thought the only value I would bring to our kids is a paycheck that would direct deposit. And I'm just going to work on the road and get out of the way so y'all can live a great life because I kind of suck. And I want you to tell your wife you're sorry for thinking so little of the man she married.
Okay.
And tell her that you're going to commit to reimagining your relationship with Paul. And that's going to be twofold. One of that is going to be standing in front of the mirror, and you're going to embarrass the crap out of yourself, but you'll be alone and putting a fist in your chest and looking at the mirror and saying the words, I love this guy, 10 times in the morning and 10 times at night. I love this guy. And when you say it, you're going to feel your shoulders clench up around your neck, and then you're going to consciously drop them and say, I love this guy. And you're not just going to bark mantras like Instagram would tell you. You're also going to go to the gym. You're also going to
be doing that for last month. Yes.
Good. And you're going to get a group of men to hang out with. And if your wife wants to go see a counselor, you're going to go with her to see a counselor. In fact, you may ask, hey, would you go to see a counselor with me?
Yep.
See what I'm saying? You're going to start not just spouting out mantras. You're going to start with a whole bunch of tiny little wins en route to becoming a guy that you respect.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? It's both things.
Yes, I get what you're saying. Absolutely. What about when I do fail at a task or something of that nature?
You're going to.
Okay.
I do all the time. Did you know this very show, we had to reshoot the intro because I screwed it up?
That's unfortunate.
I have a top 5 podcast in health and fitness in the world. And I screwed up the intro because I was just blabbing on about something that I thought was funny. And Kelly looked at me and she was like, that's clearly not funny at all. And then I tried to get out of it and I just made it worse. And then I started babbling. That's what I do for a living.
Okay.
I fail every day. Yesterday, I put my 7-year-old daughter's face in my hands and I said, I'm sorry. I did this wrong. And she didn't even say, I forgive you. I didn't say I was wrong for her forgiveness. I didn't say I was wrong for some sort of approval stamp from her. I said I was wrong because I was wrong. I fail every day, Paul. Every day.
Okay.
It's part of being human. The test of a man, the test of a woman too, But in this case, I'm just talking to a man. So the test of a man in this moment is, are you going to get back up? Are you going to own your mistakes and you're going to go make them right? And the person you wronged, they get a say into how you make things right.
Okay.
And then you go to the mirror and you put your fist in your chest and you say, I love this guy. And then you go do the next right thing.
I guess I'm just afraid when I do go to ask that question is, what if the answer is, no, I don't want to be with you in a year?
The way to guarantee that is to isolate yourself and not ask that question and try to sing and dance your way to your wife's approval.
Okay.
And maybe you take her out to breakfast and you say, hey, I've tried to love you through my insights and wisdom and knowledge. And I've tried to love you through my bank account. I've tried to love you through making sure you had all your needs met. And that's left you feeling isolated and cold. I'm going to try to love you by being honest with you, by being vulnerable with you, by telling you what I need, what I'm scared of. And I'm going to practice because I've never done this before. And so I'll ask you to be gentle with me and be kind to me as I'm figuring this out. And kids, when you catch your old man talking bad about himself, I'm going to pay you. Honey, if you catch me talking bad about your husband, will you call me on it like you would a stranger? And don't try to do this on your own. Your wife sounds like she's giving you a roadmap. Follow the roadmap. And she needs a roadmap too. She's told you how to love you. I think it's fair for you to say, here's how I need to be loved in this new marriage we're building. Whew. Call anytime, my brother. Thank you so much for trusting me and for being vulnerable. I'm proud of you. Hang on the line. I'm going to send you 2 copies to Building a Non-Anxious Life. I want you and your wife to both read them, and y'all can build a roadmap together on how to build a less anxious house. And in so doing, I'm confident you're going to be able to find some things that y'all can talk about together. It's going to bring up some new needs and new wants that y'all can do together. I'm proud of you, man. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Callie in Bowling Green. Going back to Callie. What's up?
Hey, Dr. John, how are you?
We are rocking on to the break of dawn. How about you?
I'm wonderful. I just want to say I'm super thankful for everything that you've brought to our community and that you put out there. I'm one of the OGs.
Yes.
I've been listening since episode 1. So
Were you one of the original 17?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm deeply grateful. Thank you.
No problem.
So what's up?
So I'm calling today because I coach a high school volleyball team, and that comes with its own challenges.
Yeah.
But we have been really struggling on teaching our girls how to communicate with one another. And on top of that, learning to be vulnerable on top of the communicating piece.
Yeah.
And I just wanted your advice on how to kind of facilitate that with high school girls.
As a former high school, I'm just kidding. So I thought you were about to say, hey, we're struggling on offense. And I was going to have to tell you, I don't really know how volleyball works. I just know that y'all all, they go in a line. So good. This one's an easier question for me to answer. And I used to be a high school coach too. And it's one of my favorite jobs I've ever had. So good for you. Are you enjoying it? Do you like the influence in their life?
I absolutely love it. I have a full-time job year-round, but this is something that I also do year-round. We coach high school from July to October, and then I turn around and coach club ball for the same high school girls from December until May.
Very
so it never
cool.
ends.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so here's what I've seen. And working with high school and college kids over the last couple of decades, I've seen in a way that I don't think most adults, most 35 and 45-year-olds and older, fully grasp just how much relationship has moved on into digital exchanges. Like even asking like my middle schooler and all his friends, like when you go with somebody, right? You give a girlfriend, you never even make eye contact. You don't see each other. It's all text and photos and emoji. Like everything's been outsourced there. And so you're getting a lot of information, but it's interesting. I haven't talked to a high school coach, but it doesn't surprise me that then when they get in a real life situation where they have to basically read each other's minds and know I'm going to be here in this space and you got to look at my body position and I've got to holler at you and say, hey, go, 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 that their brains don't just shut down, right? So give me an example of situations where they're not being vulnerable, where they need to communicate better. Give me an example of that.
So I'll kind of give you a little bit of a background. Last season, this is probably the most talented group I've ever coached, hands down. They're very young, primarily sophomores. We have a few seniors that kind of lead the group, but even some of them are struggling with communication. But we've started working with a sports psychologist last year. She did wonderful work, but we, of course, were unable to afford her this year. High school budget. Volleyball doesn't make that cut.
Way to go, America.
Very, very much so. So I've kind of tried to step in that role and start doing some small and large group activities with them after practice, just to learn to communicate off the court, hoping that it will transfer onto the court. So on the court, they're just having issues where they literally will not talk to each other. They're running into each other. Something will happen. And us as coaches feel like we're having to spoon feed them everything to say and do.
Gotcha.
And they are physically capable of knowing exactly what to do and what to say. But it's just that awkwardness, that tension, and even some of the small group activities we've been doing with them after practice to get them to open up to each other, to even say something they like about themselves. It's like terrible. It's so awkward.
Yeah.
They do not feel comfortable whatsoever.
Okay, so let's back all the way out. Ultimately, there's two things at play. One, there's trust, and one, there is just a skill set. Okay. I do believe that we're going to have hell to pay because we're going to have a generation of people that don't have the skills to communicate in person with one another. Right. And I think you're experiencing, like, I don't even know how to tell you that I'm uncomfortable. I can text it to you. I can DM you and let you know how I'm feeling, but I can't say that to you. Right. And for you and me, who grew up saying it first and texting it second, that feels insane, but that's the reality. Right. The second one is trust. And I think you earn trust one of three ways, if not all three: play, sharing meals, and shared experiences. I've got to know you're going to be there, and I have to have these exchanges over food, over play, that is going to allow me to then, my brain to feel safe enough to say, hey, I don't think I look good in this, or I don't like the way you talk to me on the court, right? So I've got to set a context. And so I'd love to reframe it. And these aren't adjunct things. So even the language like, hey, we do these things after practice, I would love for you to include them into practice. This is a part of who we are. And I'm thinking back to little things that my coaches have made. Like, we had a weekly team dinner during season where we'd all get together. I'm going to send you every single deck of questions for humans that I got. Okay?
That would be amazing. Thank you so much.
I started I have breakfast with my son once a week, and we're doing a book exchange and stuff. I even took them with me this last week, and they were a blast. I'd forgotten that I'd written some of these questions out, but we had a great time, but it allowed a different level of conversation between me and my son. When you have a deck of cards like that, when you have some sort, even if you just go find an app, I'm sure there's a million apps out there, when you can point to the question, the deck of cards, ask the question, not you. And it makes it safer for some reason, okay? It depersonalizes it in a way. But what I would recommend is saying, okay, from this point forward, we're going to cut practice short on Thursdays by 30 minutes because they're good, right? What they need to do is learn to talk and trust, and that's going to help accelerate their connectivity as they function as a single unit on the court. But I'm going to ask you to stay 30 minutes longer than you normally would, and we're going to have a team dinner. And whether that's pizza or whether that's spaghetti, I think we used to do spaghetti dinners, and the parents made it and brought it. And sometimes it was good and sometimes it was a disaster. But we shared that experience. Here's another thing. Have you tried to go first?
I have.
How's that go?
And I told them that I firmly believe in leading by example.
Good for you.
So anytime that I ask them a question, I answer it first. And I've, probably admitted things, opened up about things that I typically wouldn't in front of high school girls. But I feel like they need to see that, and they need to see a coach be vulnerable.
Yes.
My problem is I'm only an assistant. I'm one of 4 coaches.
Okay.
And their head coach is a male, and he's a very good friend of mine,
Mm-hmm.
and he would never participate in this.
Why not?
So I guess that's a twofold. I'm the only one kind of spearheading this, and I've got a great relationship with the girls because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But to get him and the other coaches involved is a challenge of its own.
Why won't he play?
He, just full honesty, comes up with his job is to win games.
Yep. Okay.
Which I understand. But
I
in
do
order
too.
to win games, I feel like you have to connect.
That's exactly right. So he's playing a very short game, right? He's like a modern corporation. It's like, I got to make earnings in this quarter, and they forget that they're playing a long game, right? And so you can earn, you can sprint and sprint and sprint, and eventually your company's going to go away. Very similar. He's going to win some games out of some talented kids, and he's going to move on to a new place and leave these kids there. That's hard. Okay. I wish there was an easy, I've worked with head coaches. They're hard. It's hard. There's a lot of ego there. There's a lot of, this is my team, and that language, right? This is my group of humans that I run and own and whatever. That's going to be hard. I think the best you can do is just be the positive influence that you can. And it might, would he support team dinners? Would he support team play or cutting practice short? Or does it all have to be something you do after he gets done with his practice?
I think I could convince him. We're really, we went to college together. We're close friends. So he's very stubborn, but I can typically get through to him eventually.
Okay.
But I think team dinners is definitely something we could do. Here's
where the team dinners are important. On Thursdays, we do team dinners. There are no electronics allowed. None. 0. Everyone's going to make it. On Monday, as a warm-up or the first thing we do, we're going to do some crazy agility drill that is team-driven. Coaches will not participate. There's an over-coaching that's happening with young athletes also, that every move is prescriptive. This idea that they're just going to go play, that we don't do that anymore because we got to win games. And by winning games, I'm going to give you this play, and you got to run this play in this way. And so they literally don't know how to take a next step because every step has been prescribed for them since they were 3 years old. And there's something about letting them just go. We're going to give you 5 minutes so y'all figure this game out, and this is how this game works. And here's the 4 coaches, and we're going to demonstrate how it goes. And y'all are competing against this other, the A squad's going to participate compete against the B squad. We're going to make them do some of these things, but we're not going to overcoach them. We're going to back out a little bit.
Okay.
And I was the worst. The worst. This is the pot talking the kettle here. Man, every mistake my first year of coaching, every mistake I called out. You threw the ball away, you did it. And after my first year, I had some coaches lean into me a little bit because I was a young, hot-headed, knuckle-headed moron. And they said, dude, you know who knows that they just dribbled that ball off their knee into the stands more than anybody? That kid. You yelling it across the gym isn't helpful. He knows. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that was such a good reminder, especially in practice, to dial back my coaching and dial up my engagement. Meaning I'm going to be much more relational and less, I see that one, I see that one, I see that. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to coach effort. I'm going to coach spacing. I'm going to coach paying attention much more than move over, left, go, up. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And I don't know if that's going on in your practices. That sure went on in my practice, man, because I was just over-coaching, and I paralyzed the kids when I did that. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you're not a coach, all of this applies to parenting. We over-parent, and we hey, you got this, you do this, you got this, you do this. You got your deodorant, you brush your teeth, did you get your shoes? Just today, my son left his track shoes, his cross-country shoes, inside. And I asked my wife as I was leaving, you want me to run these to the school? It's 20 minutes out of the way this way, and I got to go 20 minutes back. She said, no. He'll just have to do practice in whatever shoes he's wearing. And that's probably going to be a very uncomfortable 3-mile run in the woods. And I assure you he's going to remember his shoes, right? This is just the way we move forward, right? Oh, man. All right, so Callie, hang on the line here. I'm going to send you all of the questions for humans cards. And by the way, if you have people in your life, whether they're teens, adults, couples, you just started dating, you've been dating a long time, you've been married a long time, there's cards for everybody. Girls' night, guys' night, friends, just hanging out, having chips and queso and having a few beers, whatever it is, grab these cards. They're tools to teach us again how to have in-person communication, how to have in-person conversations. And man, all over the planet, people are writing and saying these things are changing their families and changing their friendships. Go pick some up. JohnDelony.com. You and I both know this, and the average listener won't know this, that the field of social sciences, and especially the field of psychology,
right,
is a largely atheistic field. It's a largely, let's see if we can use these tools of quote unquote hard science and bring them over here to people, right? And create these artificial environments where we can pull apart the human and see what it's made of. The studies that walk up to the line of, or as my friend says, walks up to the doorway of faith, they're incalculable. That if you are a faith practitioner or you submit to something bigger than yourself, every part of your life is different. It's elevated. And the field as a whole, it seems to be, and maybe I'm biased, but they walk up to that line and they will walk through serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. They will walk through these other parts. And this one they will say, and faith. And then they walk. Like, they have to acknowledge it because they're not going to be dishonest, but there's no, what I would call an integrous look into, okay, what is this? Why can't we talk about it?
Right.
It feels so third rail before third rails existed in 2016, right?
Yeah.
And I can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
Other than it, I don't know. You live in it further than I am.
Yeah. So, I've thought about that an awful lot because I'm a lifelong practicing Christian and I'm a social scientist. I'm a behavioral scientist.
Right.
Now, I'm
which
studying,
most people don't know are opposing worlds.
They're mostly opposing worlds, not entirely. Something like 16 to 17% of social scientists, PhD social scientists, are religious.
Okay.
Or have a religious practice,
practice,
I should say. Most of whom in the United States are Christians because it's the predominant religion, but not all. I mean, some, I know many in my field who are serious about their Jewish faith, for example. And if you go to India, a lot of social scientists are practicing Hindus, et cetera, et cetera. But 16, 17%, that's way below the American average. Right. So what's the deal? Social science largely says that everything that happens that you experience is socially constructed.
Right.
Including your faith.
Okay.
Including God.
Okay.
And so therefore, the conclusion is often that God has been constructed socially to deal with problems that we don't know how to deal with in any other way. Okay. Now, that makes a supposition that once we get to a certain level of knowledge as a society and as individuals, then God will be unnecessary.
Right.
That's scientism.
Right.
That's a religion. The whole idea is that science is going to overtake faith and religion being the opiate of the masses for now.
Correct.
And so a better future is one where we find the answers. And it turns out now, increasingly, we realize that's wrong. And we understand the science of why that's wrong. So the new frontier is going to be way more accommodating to religious faith than it currently is or has been in the past.
And you don't think it feels like there's an end around coming with tech trying to answer that same question, not with social science anymore.
Oh, for sure.
Because Freud was going to solve it for us and he didn't. And so now there's an end around with, we'll just.
And it's going to be an exercise in futility in the same way. And
I
we actually know why. Yeah. We actually know why that is. And increasingly the case. So the work of Ian McGilchrist, the great psychiatrist and neuroscientist from Scotland.
Okay.
He wrote in 2004, a long time ago, The Master and His Emissary. And what he was talking about was the hemispherically lateralized brain. Okay. This is nerd speak for the brain has two sides to it.
Right.
Okay. The left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. Now, back in the old days, there was this kind of pop idea that if you were artsy, you were on the side. And if you're an analytic, all that's nonsense. None of that actually held up to the science. But we are hemispherically lateralized because the two sides of the brain, the human brain, communicate with each other but do different things. Mm-hmm. What we find is the big questions of meaning are adjudicated on the right, and the analytical questions, the problems, the distractions and details of life are adjudicated on the left. Mm-hmm. So what does this mean? If you want to set an agenda for your life, you're going to come up with the big questions and ideas on the right, and then you're going to work out the little problems on the left. Okay. Tech and science are all on the left. Mm-hmm. So social media is on the left. Screens are on the left, right? Mm-hmm. All of the stuff that tech is bringing us is left side. One of the reasons that young people are finding it harder and harder and harder to find the meaning of their lives is because they're being pushed by the entire culture, the technocratic culture, into the left side of the brains. Gotcha. The right side is becoming inaccessible to people, and that's why they don't just feel a lack of meaning, they don't even know where to look. Yeah. They don't even know where to look geographically in their own brains anymore. My whole world is about getting back to the right side of the brain.
But you can't sell that because it's relatively easy.
Well, it's easy,
it's simple, not easy.
It's a simple idea, right? But it's really hard to do.
How do you lose weight, diet, and exercise? But it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, you got to cross the corpus callosum. I mean, man, you got to get from the wiring to the right side of the brain. And people are like, I can see it over there, kind of. I can see it over there, kind of. Yeah. And so you have to talk about very practical protocols in your life, like how much screen time you should not get. How long should you be looking at your phone? Now, how long should you be not looking at your phone continuously? These are the questions that I'm trying to answer. How should you be adjudicating your relationships? You want to go out on a date, find a matchmaker, not a dating app, because the dating app is the complicated left brain solution to the right brain complex problem that's love, right? Yeah. And so you need another human complex right side that's going to help you with yours, aka your parents, your friends, the people who are setting you up.
All right, let's go to Andrew in Traverse City, one of my favorite places on the planet. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, John. How you doing, man?
Excellent, man. I got some family in Traverse City. What an amazing, amazing place.
Yeah, it's great. I'm shivering, though. It's a little cold already. We actually got some snow in some places in northern Michigan today, so a little early for that.
Wow. Well, congratulations. It's 111 degrees here in Nashville today, so there you
go. Yeah, rub it in.
So what's up, man?
All right, John, I'm hoping for your opinion on a health and kind of mental health-related eating and diet question. I just really need some help figuring out why I'm struggling, craving like super unhealthy foods way too often right now.
Okay.
And then kind of how I put some boundaries in place for myself around that.
Excellent. What's up?
All right, so I got a 3-month-old baby, so I'm a little tired. Hopefully my details make sense.
A boy or girl?
It is a little boy.
Can we just stop for a minute? Congrats, man.
Thanks, man. It's our first. Really excited about it.
It's all going okay. Perfect. Okay, so first 3 months in, you don't know what day it is, and you, it's like Rocky IV when he's like, hit the one in the middle. Like you're just exhausted all the time. And
for sure,
okay,
for sure. All right, so here's some details. I'm generally a healthy, pretty active person. I'd say I eat healthy at home, but lately, maybe the past couple of years, I've just kind of been tuning into it a little more. I've been struggling with like just wanting to eat unhealthy and then eating out like unhealthy like way too often. Now, way too often is my opinion, but we'll get to that. I've noticed a pattern of, when I'm stressed or anxious, I'm craving like specifically like fast food.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. So the first thing is, again, I'm wondering if you can help me figure out why that is. But also, if you can give me some boundaries you'd recommend around cheat meals. I've heard you talk about cheat meals and different things, but I feel like I just have an unhealthy view of food right now.
Sure.
And it's super bothering me, man.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for calling it out. And man, this takes a level of introspection. And what I mean by that, this is for all new parents or all parents going through particular life transitions with themselves, their spouse, and their kids. Noticing, hey, I've started engaging in unhealthy behavior. I had this conversation the other night with myself about social media again. I've gotten sucked back into the vortex, and I was like, man, I'm just staring at this thing all day. And so, good for you, man, for noticing. I am headed down a trail that I don't want to go down. All right, so I'm going to give you what the science says, so I can do one up on my opinion, and I'm actually going to throw out a hypothesis that I have that I've not confirmed scientifically. I don't know that it matters, but it makes sense to me. And if any of nutrition folks actually know the science here, I'd love for you to leave comments on YouTube or shoot me a direct message. So there is plenty of studies, a number of studies that show when we get tired, we crave carbohydrates, especially sugary foods. There's also studies that show when we are stressed, when the stress cycle has kicked off, we crave sugary, carbohydrate-laden foods. Also, the savory, the salt, and the fats that drip off a Big Mac. See, now you've got me thinking about fast food. And so you craving fast food right now is your whole life has been dumped upside down. Not to mention, not just the baby, but let's back up, man. Things have been wild for the last year, right? You found out you're pregnant.
Sure.
You had, I mean, the whole world, it's been ramping and ramping and ramping.
For sure.
And then suddenly it happens and you're like, it's going to be like this. And it's nothing like you thought it was going to be, is it?
No, not at all.
You thought they only poop twice a day. No,
Yeah, exactly.
1,000 times a day. So anyway, everything's in flux. So that's the science. So I tell you that to tell you, you're not crazy. In fact, you are right in the middle of the bell curve normal. Okay. You're exhausted. You're stressed. You and your wife are having to navigate a new relationship. So you're married to a new person right now. And so is she. Okay. I want you to think about it that it's that different now. You have a new variable in your home. You've got new expenses. So you've got financial stress. You've probably already done the calculation. So if Putin actually invades Ukraine full on or launches a nuke, it would be this many years until the draft. I mean, you've probably already done those calculations like every parent has. It's a mess. Here's my hypothesis. Okay. I think one of two things. When their fight or flight system kicks off, it actually pulls blood away from the digestive system and sends it to our muscles. Okay? We don't need to be eating and digesting food. We are fighting or fleeing for our lives. Okay? That's just how our stress response system works. The cheapest, quickest forms of calories or energy. So remember, our bodies in fight or flight assume we are fighting something or running from something. It craves the simplest calories you can get, which is a cheap, simple carbohydrate. The problem is we're not running or fighting anything. We're just sitting in traffic or dealing with emails or changing another diaper, right? And our stress system is saying, we need more energy. We don't really. Because we're just sitting there. And man, there are sugary, cheap calories everywhere. And now they'll just deliver them right to your house. You don't even have to move. You don't even have to have real money. You can just push a button on your phone and it just shows up. You see what I'm saying? So we now live in a world that your body was not designed to live in. So I think that and again, this is total speculation. This is just the story I've told myself. I think the fight or flight system's activation would, if I'm running for my life or I'm in the middle of a long, protracted fight, grabbing something like a piece of fruit, grabbing some sugar in my body 5,000 years ago would give me a sudden burst of quick energy that would not take a lot of digestive energy and would allow me to get back in the fight. And man, a Twinkie is like a super version of that, right? Or an Arby's sandwich or French fries. Oh my gosh, French fries.
For sure. The
other idea I have is, this happened last night. I'm writing a new book. It was midnight. I had chapters due last night. I'm out of energy. I'm out of gas. And I found myself down there. I grabbed a protein bar, but it's one of those protein bars that are really like Snickers bars. They just shove protein in it and they trick you into, they lie to you and you go along with the lie that it's some sort of health food when it's really not. It was one of those kind of bars. I feel like the sugar was a quick energy boost for a body that was so taxed on sleep. I'm just exhausted right now. And so since I don't have my normal rest, my body is going to go for some cheap explosive energy really fast to try to prop me up until I can get to sleep again. That's my hypothesis there. I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know that it matters. What does matter is the science says when you're exhausted, the science says when you're stressed, we reach for trash and we overeat too. We eat more trash than normal. Okay.
Oh, for sure.
So what have you tried to do to head this off at the pass?
Well, it's gotten worse since, my little guy was born 3 months ago, and I think you're right on with that hypothesis. But, the things I've tried have been just saying no ahead of time and taking different routes home and like bringing extra food to work. And it feels like the issue I'm dealing with, again, I mentioned I've noticed it start over the last couple of years. Of course, it's gotten exacerbated by, my baby, is like I'll come out of like a really tough work meeting or a really tough case or something like that. And it's like, man, if I just like go park somewhere and eat some fast food, I'll like be able to take a breather and like that dopamine, or I'm not sure what exactly it is, will hit, and I'll just feel better and I'll drive away. And then now with a kid, I'm like, how this pattern is not good for me. So, I'm not really answering your question, but I haven't tried many specific things. I was kind of hoping you could help me with that.
Yeah. Okay. So you nailed it. It's the "if I just" statement.
Okay.
So in the nerd world, here's what we're looking for. We're looking for the gap. The gap between stressful meeting and the thought that follows, which is, I just need to get some satiating food and then I'll feel better. You need the gap between stimulus and response. Stressful meeting, Big Mac. Frustrating interaction with my wife, bag of gummy candies. Screaming kid, I'm just going to go grab a pizza. We don't need to eat here tonight. Because on the back end, dopamine is about motivation. It's actually not about pleasure. Even I've been wrong on this. Andy Huberman has done a great job explaining this, but there's no such thing like dopamine hits. That's not really how that works. Dopamine is a molecule of motivation. And the moment the ball gets rolled down the hill, think of it this way, like a teeter-totter. The moment it sits down and begins to, the other end, it starts to go up on the teeter-totter, dopamine the lever gets pushed towards pleasure. Yeah. As soon as you bite into that Arby's sandwich or into that piece of pizza, your body has to flatten out that teeter-totter, and it has one way of doing it: pain. That's why you feel ashamed. That's why you feel bad. That's why you feel ugh. Because it's got to hit the other end of it. It's got to hit the other end of the teeter-totter. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to opt out of the system completely because it's not true. If I can just go get something to eat, it will make this last meeting feel better. That's a false statement. It's a lie. It's not true. And so you've heard me on this show say demand evidence. Yeah. Ask yourself, what is my body trying to protect me from? Identify the behavior. For me, it's trash eating too. It used to be calling old friends. It used to be checking it. Whatever your behavior is that you want to stop, right before you do it, ask yourself, what is my body trying to protect me from? Some people text old girlfriends. Some people grab another drink and then another drink. Some people just pick out their phone and start scrolling. Some people roll up to a pornography website or whatever. Ask yourself, as you're entering into this behavior you don't want to do, what is my body trying to protect me from? Oh, I had a crappy meeting. Makes me feel like I'm going to get fired. And then here's the magic words. We're going to demand evidence. Am I going to get fired? No. Or am I going to get fired? Yeah. If I don't make another sale, I'm going to get fired. I should probably look for another job, right? Or I should probably start getting on the phone, right? So we can solve that problem with actual things, actual actions that are going to work. But an Arby's sandwich has never solved anything. It just hasn't.
Right.
Is that fair?
Yeah, it is fair. It makes sense. And I think you're on it.
More tactically, I've had seasons where I took my debit card out of my wallet and gave it to my wife.
Wow, yeah.
Delete all apps off your phone. When you're trying to change an addictive habit, you have to create systems that allow you to be successful. All the junk has to be out of the house. I don't have access to money. I just can't go. I can't stop there. And you're going to run out of gas at one point. And it's going to be super annoying. And we're playing a long game with your health. It's worth the exchange. But in this early stage, that's why if you're an alcoholic, if you're struggling with alcohol, you got to dump everything down the sink. You got to get out of your house. Start day one. You have to stop hanging out with people who go to bars day two, right? You got to make some radical life changes. You do too. You're going to have to practice new coping behaviors. It may be after a hard meeting, I'm going to go for a walk. It may be after a hard meeting, I'm going to call a friend. It may be after a hard meeting, I'm going to pull out a journal that I got for like $8, at Walgreens. And I'm going to write down, here's what I felt in that last meeting. We're going to practice new coping. On the way home, I'm just going to swing by the gym for 15 minutes and do a 15-minute workout. That's it. See what I'm saying? We're building in things along the way that are going to become new habits for us to start.
Yeah.
But you got to go scorched earth on the prevention side. Okay. I'm somebody, and I've learned this the hard way. I can't do moderation. Or let me put it this way. I'm choosing for that not to be a battle that I fight. I've got too many other battles internally that I'm trying to deal with. So I have to say no. I can't have some fast food sometime. I don't. I just have to walk away from it. If I do have it, I'm going all in, man. I'm going to get supersized. I'm going to get 5 fries. I'm going to get 2 virgin. I'm going all in. And I've made peace with that too. That's okay. I just do it so rarely now. Okay. This weekend, me and my son went and got a hotel. We went on a little father-son hunting trip. Dude, I ate myself into a coma. It was awesome. And because I'm playing a long game here. We had fun. We're making memories, being silly. And then I was back on the wagon this morning. Okay. You're not there yet. Here's what I'm worried about. That food is becoming medication for you. Is that right?
I think that's 100% accurate. Yeah, that's what I called.
Did you learn that at home? Is this new? Where'd you pick that up from?
I don't know. My mom had cancer when I was 4, and she had like all these different doctors having her on these like fad diets so that it wouldn't come back. And I knew you were going to ask me that question. I was like, do I even bring that up or not? I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Absolutely,
but,
man.
Obviously, I did.
Listen how that's encoded in your body. That somehow food is the solution to fill in the blank. Is your mom still with you?
Yeah, she made it.
Yeah, man. Food solves everything. And intellectually, that's insane. And it's not that insane. Healthy eating is really good for you, right? And it's preventative in a number of different areas. But that's particularly encoded in your body. Food will solve this. It's just become very perverted. And now it's food makes me feel better. And then food makes me, I overeat. And then I feel ashamed. And then I want to hide, and then the whole thing starts over again. And so I'm not telling you to get a phobia about food. I'm not telling you to head down a disordered eating track or anything like that. I'm just suggesting that you create systems of the person you want to become. I want to become a guy who's a good steward of his body. I'm going to create an identity that way. And then I'm going to create habits that make that happen. I'm a guy that doesn't eat that garbage. Even this morning, my new friend Jade Warshaw here, she had made these incredible vegan, whatever, kumbaya muffins that I think they did yoga over them. I don't know. They were awesome. And they were dusted with essential oils or something. She walked by and she said, "Oh, you don't eat sweets." Like, that's an identity I have around the office. And I said, "Oh, but today I will," because they just look delicious. And so,
but are you making a conscious choice to step off the wagon at that point? And you're able at this point, you're where you can step right back on.
Yes. And it's been years. It's been years. Okay. And I also know often when I step off the wagon intentionally, that's one of my internal mantras. I'm a guy who doesn't fall off the wagon, but I will step off the wagon and roll around in the mud every once in a while. And then I'll climb back up, and I usually slip off the wagon 4 or 5 times trying to get back on, and then I get back on the wagon. But that's an identity I have. I'm a guy that didn't fall off the wagon. And that means I have to be really conscious of when I'm exhausted, really conscious of when I'm stressed out. So I've mentioned a couple of times, I'm writing a new book right now. I started a new exercise program and a new eating regimen about a month out of this process, so that when I hit this thing, I'd be ready to rock and roll. I wouldn't have to also be fighting my exercise routine and my diet routine. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's just me trying to be intentional, because I've failed it every time. And all my other writing projects, dude, I end up just a goofy mess by the time it's all over. And I'm just tired of reclaiming my life every time. So this time, my identity is I'm a guy that takes care of himself and who's going to take care of himself through this entire stressful process. That's just where you are. And so if you think about it, I want to create an identity. I want to be this kind of dad. I'm a dad who's a good steward of his one body. I'm going to teach my kids what that looks like. And while I learn that, I can't have any cash in my wallet because I'll go to fast food. Does that make sense?
It makes 100% sense. Yeah, thank you.
And by the way, you don't suck, and you're not a loser, and you're not a failure. You're a first-time dad. You've never done this before. This is new. And you're pretty young, and so this is probably your first or second big job. And this is your first time dealing with adult stress. This is your first time being married to somebody who just had a kid. This is your first time not sleeping for months on end. All these things are new, so cut yourself some slack. You are way ahead of the game, man. You woke up 3 months in and you're like, whoa, that's a lot of Burger King. I should probably put the burrito down and back the thing up. Good for you, man. That's awesome. Let's focus on identities first, not goals. Let's focus on who we're going to become. And this is a great exercise for you and your wife, too. Let's focus on who we're going to become, and then let's reverse engineer that with a series of behaviors. And food's not the enemy. Fast food's not the enemy. Sugar isn't, I'm not going to war over sugar anymore. I'm just not. I got too much other stuff to do. I'm going to be about the things that I can positively impact because that's the kind of guy I want to be. That's the kind of guy you want to be. And you'll get there, man. Thank you so much for your call. Holler back as you make this turn, and I'll be willing to walk with you every step of the way. Thank you, Brother Andrew. Congratulations on your little boy. What's up, Tyler?
Hey, what's going on, Dr. John?
Nothing much, man. What are you up to?
Oh, not a whole lot. Just sitting in my mail truck here.
There you go. Very cool, man. So what's
happening?
Man,
I appreciate you taking my call.
Of course.
And must slam you with my question here.
Bring it.
So why am I so not anxious, but resentful and kind of jealous of my wife for me making her a stay-at-home mom?
You tell me. What are you pissed about?
It's more along the lines that I feel like she gets to see my kids more than I do, and I feel like I do so much to provide for the family, and she's just at home chilling, taking naps, and you know what I mean, stuff like that.
Is she just at home chilling, taking naps?
Well, not necessarily. She's taking care of the kids.
Yeah, dude, where does this where does these stories, where does this anger come from, man? I can hear it in the phone.
Yeah, I think it's just I'm not really okay with myself, to be honest.
Yeah, why?
And
you're busting your butt to provide for your family.
I don't know. I feel like I'm a failure as a dad.
Why?
No matter how hard I try.
Why?
Probably the only thing that really pops to my head is because past relationships, every time that something has went south, it's always been my fault. I've always been the bad guy in the situation, going to social media, talking crap, you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
No, that's not it, dude. What is it really? How long have you been married?
3 years.
How many kids you got?
So we have one together. I have a stepson.
Okay.
And then I also, we got one coming at the end of this month.
Okay. Are you broke?
Yeah. It's basically paycheck to paycheck.
Are you resentful of having to raise somebody else's kid?
Yeah, his dad causes a lot of issues.
I don't care about his dad. I don't care about him. I'm just asking you. Now that you're holding your own biological kid, does it kind of piss you off that you're having to raise another man's kid?
Yeah.
Does it kind of piss you off that your wife will forever be linked to some other dude?
Yeah.
Okay. Stop taking that crap out on her. You chose this. You walked right into it. Stop. Okay? And you don't have enough power to make her stay at home. Tell me about that. That's some flexy, macho, red pill bullcrap language. Why is she staying at home?
So it's basically my fault but she was a stay-at-home.
Tyler, stop with the fault language, man. Like it's not a fault. It's you know what I mean. It's not a fault. Tell me what you needed or what you wanted or what you thought.
I thought her being a stay-at-home mom was better for her. She was really depressed and upset with the job she was in, so I kind of, like forced her hand into being a stay-at-home mom, and then it goes to my anxiety with.
Stop! I'm gonna keep interrupting you because I did you call her boss and get her fired?
No.
Did you say,
She
hey,
resigned.
I will work a second or third or fourth job. We'll figure it out. I love you too much to see you hurt like this. I want you to stay at home.
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't force nothing. You said, I see you and you're hurting and I love you more than life itself and I'm going to figure something else out. Even though I'm not going to be able to sleep and I'm going to have to work a second and third job, I'm going to miss my kids. I love you more than that. That's not forcing her. Forcing is letting the air out of her tires so she can't drive to work till she gets fired. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. And if you're broke and you got 3 kids, one of which is another man's kid, I get being pissed off. I get being anxious. And if you think you suck at relationships, I'm not hearing it right now. I actually think you probably had a pretty crappy upbringing and you're trying to do the best you can to be a different kind of dad and husband. And it's hard when you don't have a model.
Yeah, my dad wasn't there, that's for sure.
That's right. So you're trying to play basketball and you've never even seen a game played, but you're really giving it a good shot. And I'm proud of you for that.
Thank you.
But it's also,
I don't feel like I hear that enough.
I know. You're probably hard to be around because you're anxious. I mean, you're anxious a lot of time and you're angry.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I feel like I take a lot of my anger out on her with, I come home and something's not done and I'm like, well, what did you do? Like, why didn't you do this? And
never do that again. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The same as your supervisor at you deliver mail?
Yeah, I'm a mailman.
Okay. Number one, don't say it like that. I'm a mailman. Like, hold your head up. You make the economy go round. You make the world spin. Okay? They don't pay you for the contribution you make. They don't pay you enough. But don't hold your head down on that. Okay? Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. If you were delivering mail in the wrong way and your supervisor would say, don't do that again, you'd stop. So I'm telling you, don't take that out on your wife anymore. Okay?
Okay.
Having 2 little kids and being 9 months pregnant is just like getting thrown into a blender and sometimes stuff splatters out. It's just life, man. I promise your entire spirit would change if you walk in the door or you text your wife and say, I'm 2 hours out. How can I love you today when I get home? And right now on this side of it, you're still playing the comparison game. Am I enough? And when you play am I enough games, then you put it on a scale. I did this. What did you do? And then you start comparing. What bill did you pay? What bill did I pay? What bill? Dude, you can't live your life like that. You're going to go mad. You're just going to be a ball of rage. And then you know what you're going to do? You're going to try to solve the rage and you're going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to keep that cycle moving down the track. And you're going to leave it to your kids to deal with. It has to end with you. Fair?
Fair.
There's a great quote by somebody I respect highly named Terry Real. And he says, trauma rolls downhill through a family system like a forest fire until one brave person stops and turns to stare it down. And he brings peace to his ancestors, to people in the line he will never meet. But when you turn and face down a forest fire, you get burned, and this sucks. And you're in that right now. But you're changing everything for your children and for your grandkids and your great-grandkids that your old man chickened out and didn't give you. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. Stop taking it out on your wife. Ask the exhausting, frustrating, terrifying question 2 hours out. I'm going to be home at 5. I'm going to be home at 6 tonight. How can I love you when I walk in the door? You don't know what kind of day she's had? Cool. And hopefully you get to a point where you say, I would mean the world to me if you asked me, how can you love me? Fair.
Yeah.
And by the way, bro, you've been married for 3 years and y'all have never had a night by yourselves, have you?
Nope, never.
No. You're making babies surrounded by babies. That's just a recipe for chaos, right? I promise.
And that's
peace is coming.
And that's sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's like another thing that I deal with is like the anxiety of sending my kids to like someone else's house, because you know how you hear so much bad stuff about kids getting hurt or kids passing away at daycares, and if that happened, I would lose it, man. You know what I mean? I would just.
Bro, you got to get off social media like today. Stop. You're making yourself mad. If kids were passing away en masse in daycare centers, we would all have there'd be issues. They're not. The media is deciding to report every single negative thing, yada 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 yada, right?
Mm-hmm.
And y'all made the choice. Hey, for this season, we're gonna have 3 teeny tiny kids. Wife's gonna stay at home, and that means for a season, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, you are gonna just be hitting the streets making money. Is that fun? No. Does that suck? Yes. Is that what we all signed up for? Absolutely. We're the ones that made kids. Okay? And there's going to be a magic moment when your last kid suddenly takes himself to the bathroom or herself to the bathroom, and you're going to feel like you got your life back. It's just the grind between those two things. And you and your wife have to be honest about, hey, can we just get some time together? We haven't been on a date without a kid. Ever. Like, we need some help. We need someone to come in and watch the kids. We need somebody to come over and fill in the blank. Her mom, your neighbor, whatever. Give yourself some peace, man. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's just, it's hard.
It is, but it's also not. I mean, it's both and, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened when you were a kid?
Oh, where to start, man? Where to start? So basically, it was just single mom, right? Bouncing around house to house, living with my grandparents. Never knowing when the next meal was going to come. Watching my brothers get arrested, thrown in jail. Seeing my mom get beat up by men. It's the whole thing.
Yeah, dude.
And then my dad blaming me for having to pay child support.
That's right.
And I don't ever want my kids to hurt like that.
Okay. How do you think you're going to take that hurt away for them?
Fix myself.
Yeah. By making fun of their mom. By getting mad all the time. Being a ball of rage when you walk in the front door. Or by giving them the one thing you've never had, which is peace inside your house. Which is an old man that smiled every time you saw one of those crazy little knuckleheads that won't sleep and won't eat and keep complaining and keep pooping everywhere. Right?
Right.
I really, with all my heart, bro, like, I hate that that's the world you've experienced. I hate it. No kid should have to see the things you saw and be talked to by their parents. But you got to hear me when I tell you that that was a problem with them, not with you. Something's wrong with your dad, not you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Your mom was trying to survive and stay alive. That didn't mean that you failed. And now you got a choice to make as an adult. Are you going to learn how to communicate with a wife? You've never even seen it happen. Are you going to be able to say, I love you? How can I love you today? Here's what I need. Here's what I would love. I know you're exhausted. Here's what I would love. How can I help us get there? You can do those things, and you can feel unmanly and unmasked, whatever crap stories you've got in your head. I just don't communicate well. Well, you got to figure it out. Now you got 3 kids and a young wife. Cool.
Yeah, and we've been working on the communication type thing, but I feel like,
what does that mean?
So, like, instead of just blowing up into an argument, we always try to sit down or take a couple minutes away and and think about it. But, there's been a few times where it's been blown up real big from both ends. And it just, I shut down quite a bit whenever I feel like somebody's coming after me or my fatherhood or the way I am as a man.
Okay. So here's the deal. Here's what's beautiful about what you just said. And you're 10 counseling sessions in. Now. Okay, when things get loud, things get wild, my body shuts down. Cool. I'm going to have to practice staying present. And when I feel my body starting to leave, I'm going to have already talked with my wife about a couple of things. Like, hey, I'm starting to withdraw here. I need 5 minutes. Or, honey, when you get really mad at me and you start making fun of my parenting, or you get mad at me, tell me I'm not a man or whatever insult she throws at you, I just shut down. I'm going to ask you to please not hurt me in that way. And she's probably going to say, okay, then I don't want you lobbing these grenades at me. And you're going to say, cool, I'm never going to do that again. And you have to understand that the things that kept you safe as a kid are going to destroy your marriage and the lives of these 3 young kids. Okay? Withdrawing, hiding, fighting, going to war. Those things kept you alive as a kid whose dad sucked. I don't like to talk ill of your old man, but your dad sucked. And your mom just survived. And I can't think of anything more powerless than being like a young little boy and watching mom get beat up, thinking you should be doing something and knowing you can't do anything.
Yep.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Don't repeat that cycle in your own house. You're going to have to learn that your feelings don't tell the truth. Okay? And then you have to go do the next right thing regardless of how you feel. All right? Here's the deal. I love you. I'm going to do everything I can. So I'm going to load you up with some tools to help you in your young marriage and as a young dad and moving forward. Okay? Here's what I'm going to hook you up with. Number 1, I'm going to hook you up with Financial Peace University and the Every Dollar app, so you can begin to learn how to manage your money in your household. And you and your wife are going to do this together, and this is going to be a way y'all come together, because you're going to have to talk about what you're scared about. You're going to have to talk about what your dreams are. You're going to have to talk about reality, like we can't afford this, but we can't afford that. You're going to have to talk about how I got to get another job and another job on top of that until I get this debt paid off, so I figure this out. But it's a roadmap, and I want you to promise that you're going to watch all the videos, and you're going to watch them together. You're going to come up with a map, because it's a roadmap to peace. I'm also going to send you both of my best-selling books, Own Your Past, Change Your Future, about what happens when you grow up in a crap storm like you did and what you do next. When you want to do something different in your life, but you don't have the skills, you haven't even seen it. And Building an Unanxious Life. And I want that to be your roadmap for your home. We're going to build a house that is not anxious, that is peaceful, that I go home and my shoulders drop. Oh, thank God I'm home. And y'all have to build that. You've never seen it built. And I'm going to give you a roadmap to how to do that. I'm also going to send you, my buddy Ken Coleman has an assessment for like what work do I actually want to do? Maybe you want to be a mailman and grow up and be a supervisor. Awesome. But there's also a million other jobs out there. And if you'll go work hard, you can go make some money. Okay? The bar has never been lower to get out there and grind. Okay? So hang on the line. I'm going to hook you up with all those things for free. Those tools are worth nothing if you don't use them. And if you use them and you follow them, they change everything. I'm proud of you, Tyler. I'm proud of you. You're changing the oil on this thing while it's driving down the highway, and you're trying to make major changes in your family tree, and you're doing it. It's frustrating, and it's exhausting, and it's tiring, and it's lonely, and you're doing it. I'll be with you every step of the way. You call me anytime, brother. But this yelling at wife, this being frustrated with wife, we're going to make a choice that is over now. And instead, we're going to begin to call our wife a couple of times a day. How can I love you today when I get home? Yeah, you're tired. Yeah, you're on job 3. How can I love you when I get home? We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. And we're going to do it again. We're going to look up in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year. And we're going to have 5 years. We're going to have totally different lives. Thanks for the call, brother.